Imagine a bear choosing between a giant honey jar and a small acorn cake. Logic says pick the bigger reward, but sometimes bears choose the smaller one. That's consumer behavior, and it shows why utility isn't always rational. Today, we're exploring consumer behavior and utility. By the end, you'll see why bears don't always act rationally and how the owl explains the hidden forces behind their choices. Most bears think choices are simple. More honey means more happiness. But here's the mistake. Bears often make decisions based on feelings, habits, or social buzz, not pure logic. That's where consumer behavior comes in. So let's start with consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is how bears actually make choices. Sometimes they follow the crowd, sometimes they chase trends, and sometimes they act on impulse. It's not always rational, but it explains why fox shops thrive on clever marketing.
But to understand why bears make these choices, we need to look at utility. What happens when utility isn't just about quantity? Utility is the satisfaction bears get from honey or acorns. It's not just about how much they consume, but how much joy each bite brings. Sometimes a small acorn cake gives more happiness than a giant honey jar. That's utility at work. And here's how the two connect. Consumer behavior shows the choices, and utility explains the satisfaction. Together, they reveal why bears don't always act rationally. The owl, acting as teacher and regulator, reminds the forest that happiness isn't always measured in size or quantity. But most bears misunderstand these ideas. Here are some common mistakes they make. Mistake number 1. Bears think that more honey always means more happiness. In reality, too much honey can make them sick, while a smaller portion might bring more joy. Ignoring this leads to waste and disappointment. Mistake number 2. Bears assume choices are always rational.
In truth, emotions, habits, and fox marketing often drive decisions. Pretending bears act logically blinds the forest to how shops really influence behavior. Mistake number 3. Bears forget the owl's wisdom. Utility is about satisfaction, not size. A forest that measures only quantity misses the more profound truth. Happiness depends on balance, variety, and meaning. Without this, bears chase bigger jars but end up less fulfilled. Now here's the most essential part. Sometimes the smallest choices reveal the most significant truths. A bear picking an acorn cake over honey shows that satisfaction isn't always logical, it's personal. That's why studying consumer behavior and utility helps us understand the forest economy. So here's the takeaway. Consumer behavior explains choices, utility explains satisfaction, and together they show why bears don't always act rationally. Next time you see a bear pick honey or acorns, remember, the owl says happiness isn't always logical. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next doodle adventure.